Call the meeting to order. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, all members are present. Approval of the agenda. We have one change. 8B, the Public Works Personnel, we're going to move up to action items 7G. And I think that should be the only change that we have. Is there anything else, Vicki? Council? Okay. With that change, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Diane, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Heidi. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Approval of the minutes of the February 5th, 2020 regular meeting. All received them in your packet. Is there any changes, corrections, or clarification needed? Hearing nothing, do I have a motion to approve the February 5th, 2020 regular meeting?
Motion.
Motion by Joe.
I'll second.
Second by Heidi. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. This now brings us to our public open forum. Is there anyone here that would like to speak to the council? Is there anyone here that would like to speak to the council? Is there anyone here that would like to speak to the council? Our public open forum is now closed. We have no public hearings. We'll go to reports and presentations. Fire Department.
Evening, Mayor and Council. This is the Sauk Center Fire Department's 2019 annual report. Response calls. Structure fires in 2018, we had 20. 2019, we had 11. Grass fires were 7 in 18, 9 in 2019. Rescues and medicals were 16 in 2018, 25 in 2019. Vehicle accidents and fires, 25 in 2018, 17, and 19. Gas, smoke, and alarm calls were 21 in 2018 and 30 in 2019. False or canceled calls, 22 in 2018, 27 in 2019. Service calls were 3 in 2018 and 3 in 2019, for a total of 122 in 2019 and 114 in 2018. Response calls billed $19,540. Response calls received from 2018 was $4,941.82. Response calls received in 2019 were 13,520. Unpaid, 5,265. Collections and write-offs were $4,015. Grants, reimbursements, and donations. Lance and Melanie Muffelman were $1,500. Mike and Nancy Knoll, $100. Thomas Pishka, $50. Ellering Gross LLC, $500. Sauk Center Fire Relief, $55,000, for a total of $57,150. Firefighters, we had 2 firefighters retire in 2019. We hired 3 in 19, and we have 3 on the current waiting list. So, any questions?
Questions? Comments? Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Police Department. Brian?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Annual report for 2019.
Just go through the pages here real quick and highlight some of the stuff as we go. So first page there, of course, it shows the number of years for our officers. Pretty impressive with a total years of 153 years. So that's pretty good for a small department. Next page, driving under the influence arrest. We made 46 DWI arrests compared to 51 in 2018. We had 18 of those 46 were driving under the influence of controlled substance. It shows you the breakdown of by degrees there. And we had a couple of underage drinking and driving. And then if you, the last graph there by month, November was the big month for writing DWIs. Next page, reportable crime statistics. Theft you'll see is way up, 107 compared to 57 in 2018. Big part of that is thefts at Walmart, and a lot of that is the under-ringing. Since people are doing their own ringing up, we're having a lot of thefts at the under-ringing part, so that has really increased the thefts. Robberies, zeros, arson zeros, burglary, we had 6 in 2019 compared to 8 in 2018. Assaults, we had 14 in 2019 compared to 11 in 2018. Sexual assaults are down. We had 7 in 2019 compared to 10 in 2018. And domestic assaults are down. We had 10 in 2019 compared to 14 in 2018. Next page. Some of the basic traffic violations that we occur. If you look through there, most of them are all either the same or lower, with the one exception of driving after cancellation, cancel lips. That was we had 14 of those compared to 6 in 2018. Verbal warnings you'll see are down, so most of the categories there are all down. Traffic accidents, we had 82 of them in 2019 compared to 90 in 2018. Assisting other agencies, that is pretty much down for assisting all other agencies, which is good. Next page with the drug statistics, controlled substance arrest. You'll see that controlled substance 1, 2, and 3 are all down, along with controlled substance in the 5th degree down slightly, so all 3 of them are down slightly. And then the next graph there, possession of drug paraphernalia and possession of small amount of marijuana, that's both of them are pretty much down by half when you look at that. Warrant arrest, we had 14 misdemeanor arrests in 2019 compared to 11 in 2018, and pretty much all the other ones are the same. We had 13 felony arrests compared to 15 in 2018, so pretty comparable there. The canine statistics, as you see, those have gone down also, except for the methamphetamine was considerably up. And that was due to basically one big arrest that Sergeant Jensen and Sonny had, which you see a picture of there, which is probably one of our biggest methamphetamine arrests that we've had in our department. And you'll see in the last there, Sergeant Jensen and Sonny won a first place when they went to the recertification at the annual regional detector dog certification, and they got a first place for doing vehicle searches. So that was quite an award, because there's a very good teams that go to that to get recertified, and to come out on top is a pretty good thing, pretty big thing. So then the next page there, miscellaneous calls. I'm not gonna, I mean, if you look through them all, basically, all of them are down. The ones that are up, that I perceive are the ones that were, our officers are out there working and creating calls and showing that they're doing them. You'll see the alarm calls are up, assist businesses are up, bad checks are up, medical calls are up. So otherwise, the totals for the calls are down, total ICRs are down 849, and total offenses were down 911. But, the next page then, calls of service per hour, you see that the graph, it always amazes me how the graph compares to the last year's, or the previous year, pretty much the same, but you see between 9 and midnight are when the major calls come in, and then per day, Friday and Saturday, of course, and then per month, look like May through August was probably the busiest. Next page, forfeitures. 2019, the Sauk Center Police Department retained $16,867.91 in forfeitures, which was up from $7,000 in 2018. These funds came from 10 vehicles. 5 of the forfeitures were for alcohol, and the other 5 were for drug-related offenses. Next page shows kind of the numbers that we spend for training, which are pretty comparable every year. And then the last bracket, the budget. I guess the most important line would be the last one, in which we had an overall excess in my budget of $16,579.42. That's of course before the audit. Maybe it'll change. Then the next page, the breaking news page that Melissa added, I find very interesting. Just some of the highlights there, shows some of the major events that we had. You see in July there, we had, officers had a pursuit that started in County Road 17, went out of town. A gentleman crashed his vehicle in the cornfield. Gentleman, after a long search and creative work, ended up getting the gentleman arrested near the cornfield, and that several hours later, he was arrested for controlled substance, fleeing officers, and reckless driving. Then in August 23rd, we had the report of suspicious activity in the Conservation Park in Sinclair Lewis Park, and officers made contact with the suspicious parties there and did a nice job in making the apprehension, and which ended up in an arrest of approximately 106 grams of methamphetamine, possession of a loaded 9mm handgun, which the gentleman had a conviction for felony already, so he was not able to possess that, of course. And then the September 6th there was, like I say, one of the largest arrests for crystal methamphetamine that probably our department has had from a traffic stop that Joe did. So shows the details there. It was 955 grams or 2 pounds of crystal methamphetamine, 15.92 grams of cocaine, 121 grams of marijuana, and 19 units of THC, and a lot of prescription pills, and of course some money. And then of course we had the October 18th incident where I credit our officers for doing a very good job, in which a gentleman had a warrant. Our officers spotted the gentleman walking on Main Street, went to apprehend him on the warrant, and in which the gentleman turned on the officer with a handgun and actually shot the officer with the handgun, which ended up being a BB gun, and the gentleman was tased and arrested. So that could have really turned out to be much more serious, ordeal. So our officers, I commend them for the great work they did on that day of our very serious actions that they were faced with. And then, of course, December 19, we had the conviction of Mr. Ramey Olson for the incident on September 13, 2018, in which he shot a compound bow and arrows at our officers. So we had a conviction there with a gentleman sentenced to 189 months in prison. And then consecutive sentence for the assaults in the first degree. So that was nice to get that conviction for that, another major event. Next page there in the community, of course, our officers, you know, it's a big part of public relations and education. We try to start with, you know, younger kids in education, and we do the bike rodeo, you know, and a lot of training, which we did with the fire department, pictures of that, and shop with a cop. So all those events, I think, are very good for the community. And then the last page there, just wanted to thank our businesses and the major support that we get from our community and the citizens in our community. You know, they're constantly bringing in cards and cookies and donuts and candy and blankets and toys for the kids and all sorts of stuff. And we had some major equipment that were donated. I want to thank Donald and Janice Spain, of course, for the generous donation, which we're able to get our infrared spotlight put on our squad car, which has been a great tool for the night officers. So now they're looking for me to buy some more of them. That's been a great tool. And then, of course, with the businesses, which are all listed, I don't want to read them now, but maybe we can, I think it's been through the council, they've been listed before, and who all went together and were able to purchase that drone, which has been a very handy tool, and our officers are still training with it, and I'm sure that's going to be a very beneficial tool one day too. So I think I got to again appreciate all the businesses in our community for the nice donations. And again, so just to summarize, I think what you see trending, what I'd like to see trending is my goal through positive enforcement and proactive enforcement that our department does. I think you're seeing, when you look at the curves, you see a lot of the trend of stuff going down. You're seeing less, you know, citations and drugs. You're seeing an increase in the activity that the officers are doing, especially since we added the 7th officer. We're making a lot more coverage and getting, you know, they're making more calls and creating more stuff themselves and checking on more things. So I think a combination of all that has really been paying off. So hopefully we continue to see more work being done and the curves going down on all the other statistics. That's my goal. And again, I want to thank the city administrative staff, Vicki, and everybody else here that are such great support throughout the year. And of course, I want to thank Melissa, my assistant, that helps me greatly and helps put this great report together. And then, of course, the officers throughout the year. I think this year has been a big year for a lot of hands-on stuff and high-stress calls that I've seen in the last couple of years. And I think I commend our officers for being educated and trained to handle those. And I think all of the situations have been handled with great, you know, training and professionalism that I think they. So I commend them for that. So hats off to them. Okay, that's for the annual report. Then we'll quick do the activity report for January 2020. Some of the numbers we had there, we had 16 alarm calls, 18 assists for individuals, 79 assists for businesses, 25 assists for other agencies. We gave 6 citations for driving on a revocated license or suspended license. We had 4 felony arrests. We did 23 calls for matter of information. We had 20 medicals. We found 9 open doors and windows on businesses. We had 10 traffic accidents. We patrolled at the school 34 times. We had 4 thefts. We gave out 97 verbal warnings. So Total number of calls, we had 473 and verbal warnings of 97 for a total of 570. So compare that to December last year, we're up 33 on calls, down on warnings 75. And compare that to 2019, we're down 20 calls and down 28 warnings, verbal warnings. So pretty quiet. We have the body cameras stuff pretty much in place. We have a technician coming from Texas on Monday to get it all hopefully programmed and put together, finalized. And so that'll be a big day for us on Monday. And then hopefully we should have it working and have them on our person by March 1st, hoping. And so it'll be a learning experience for all of us. So that's all I have.
Questions?
Just one question and two comments. You had mentioned earlier that the self-checkout at Walmart must be somewhat troublesome. Is that professionals doing it, or is it people that are forgetting, or? Little of each, or?
Yeah, the loss prevention officer for Walmart, you know, we all forget, or, you know, it happens. There is accidents where there's underringing, but the people that we're charging for theft, it's definite, you know, but it's being watched by the prevention officers at Walmart, you know, and they pattern these people that, okay, this person's been in this time, and we have underringing going on all those occasions. So, yeah, me and you might, you know, accidentally, oh shoot, I missed one or something, but no, these people are, you know, they're repetitively doing it. And you have the groups that travel along the interstate just hitting Walmarts and doing it too. So it's a combination of a lot of that.
Okay.
But
And
that
then-
has really increased our thefts just from their loss prevention officer turning cases over to us. A lot of cases have been actually found by our officers. If you notice that we patrol there quite a bit and do a lot of walkthroughs at Walmarts, and the officers have made contact with a lot of suspicious vehicles and people inside and outside in the parking lot, where we ended up making arrests that turned into being thefts that were occurred in Walmart too. So
Okay.
both ways. So.
And then the two comments is, you know, nothing against the rest of you guys, but Sonny seems to be the most photogenic of the bunch. I mean, he looks pretty good there.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good
Yep,
picture.
yep. And then the third and last comment I have is you guys are doing just a wonderful job.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate
we're
it.
very blessed to have staff
Appreciate
like
that.
you.
I'll
So.
let them know that. Thank you.
Brian, I got one question.
Yep.
In the long term, I see Sonny's been with us 5 years. We planning on bringing in another dog in the future, or are we
No, it's just
hoping he makes it another 5, or?
yeah. I was talking to Joe about that. The duration for that, maybe 8 years. Maybe I don't know. I'd have to talk to him further. And you know, like I say, he just had that knee surgery where he pulled an ACL, and they repaired that. He's made some good arrests after that so far. So. You know, depending on the dog too, you know, it's hard to say, but hoping, you know, 3-4 more years, hopefully.
Do we
So-
maybe have another officer that's interested in jumping in to have 2 on board?
We'll see. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not sure at this time yet.
I know it's kind of a loaded question, but I figured I'd
Yeah,
ask it.
you know, it takes a lot of dedication to do that.
Yeah.
The time commitment and just the training alone for that is, if an officer's gonna do it, he's gotta be really serious about it, because you can't go half at it. It's
Right.
you gotta be dedicated to it. And Joe is with it, so, amongst doing everything else, so he's been doing well with it, so.
I would just like to make sure that we don't end up with the lapse where we don't have one.
Yeah.
Now
Right.
that we've had one. So
Yeah, it kinda.
That's kind of a reason why I asked the question, so.
It is nice, and I think our city is in a good location for that type of prevention, you know, having the 3 highways going through town and you know, people going through. I think it's being proactive and using that dog for that, I think is just creates a good situation for the community to have that, so,
Okay.
and for us. so.
Food for thought.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Ambulance Department.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here for the 2019 third quarter report and the end of the year report. We had a record-breaking year for 2019 once again. So thank you to all of our EMTs for getting all these calls covered. We have about 22, 23 crew members right now. It's hard to keep track sometimes. We have one on probation. We have one that's a first responder, but she's taking the EMT course. We have another one a girl that's in town, she's taking it on her own, so we're hopeful that she'll get on board with us once she's completed classes. She's gonna start doing some ride-alongs with us. And we have one that just recently tendered her resignation and one that's resigning in February, she's announced. So kind of a revolving door sometimes there. For 2019 third quarter, for October, we had 61 total runs or calls, activities. And of those 61, 50 were actually billed-out calls. 20 of those were BLS transfers, which is basic life support transfers from our Sauk Center Hospital to another facility, and 2 were advanced life support transfers. And we had 11 of those 61 were no loads, no transfers. And that is up, actually, it's down from last year. 61 this year. In 2018, we had 70. But if you compare it to 10 years ago, we were at 46 compared to the 61 for October. For November, we had 87 total activities or runs. Of those, 68 were billed out. 13 were the BLS transfers, 9 ALS transfers, and 19 of those 87 calls were no loads or canceled calls. And that is just up from last year where we had 85 as opposed to 87. And 10 years ago, we were at 37 calls as opposed to the 87 in November. And December, we had 99. We couldn't hit that 100 mark. Now we have a goal for 2020, so. Not that we want anybody to be sick or injured, but we're here for you. So 99 runs or activities. Of those, 89 were billed out. We only had 10 no loads for the month of December. And 40 of those were the BLS transfers and only 1 ALS transfer. So 99 is up from last year. We had 69 in the same month, and 10 years ago, we were at 52. So that brings us to the grand total for 2019 of 911 contacts activities. And that's just up slightly. Last year was at 897, so we're only up 1.6% from last year. But from 10 years ago, where we had 616 total, that's up 47.9%. So it's not going down, so we have to look to the future now and start planning for the future. Receiving facility, of course, Sauk Center Hospital, St. Cloud Hospital is our #1 destination for our transfers. And we have quite a few to Douglas County now, which is now Alamere. Fargo, North Dakota. Melrose Hospital, we've had quite a few. And our cancels and no loads, the majority still remain the motor vehicle crashes where a lot of people will sign off, and then falls and lift assists at the assisted living facilities or residents too. Medical alarms and fire standbys were up higher on the list too. Fourth quarter special details and events, we had the Community Connections Cleanup Demolition Derby and a football game standby. So that's all we really had for that. But for the year, you know, we still go out, we visit the second graders every year. They donate the tie-dyed blankets to us. Heart Month, we visit the senior center and review the AED with them. We just did that a couple days ago. Valentine's Day, which we just did too, we have our Valentine's Day deliveries. It's a fundraiser with Colburn's where we do the deliveries and then we get the delivery fees as a donation. March, we went to First Lutheran Church for the presentation to the, I'm going to say it wrong again, Gratitum Club? Gradium Club, okay, thank you. Farm safety discussion, first aid for the U of M extension program, the multi-casualty incident drill with the fire department and the hospital. We had the West Union Parade, 5K run, St. Clair Lewis Days Parade. We have a rigs out at the fair every year, every day. And and the demo derbies at the fair, the Greenwald Barley Days Parade, night to night, football games. We're just, try to get out there in the community and do a little PR as often as we can to up our image a little bit as best as we can. So, and we also do the CPR in the schools every semester or quarter for the high school health class, and then we continue to do community ed, CPR and first aid classes every 3 or 4 months for the community, where they can sign up through the schools for that. For the fourth quarter mutual aid, we had one request from Long Prairie Hospital to come and take a patient from there and transfer him to another medical facility. We had Mayo Clinic ambulance out of St. Cloud request us to take one transfer for them, where we went to St. Cloud and took a transfer out. And then we did go to Bruton one time to assist them on an accident they had. They only have one rig, so they needed additional rig down there, so they called us for mutual aid. And patients transported but not billed through insurance, which is a contract we have with the hospital. I showed 3 in the fourth quarter, and then mutual aid with LifeLink, we had 3. Call volume by day of the week. Monday held the most calls. Now in this, you'll see on the totals, there was 912. So I'd adjust that. We had an issue with our system where we had one that was doubled, and it didn't take it out when we removed it right away. So I had to remove 1 from Friday. So Friday should only be 118 instead of 119. But looks like Monday's been our busiest day in 2019 with 16.67% of the calls. Sunday and Saturday were both the next 2 highest. And then call volume by day of hour, or hour of day, I'm sorry. The noon until 2 in the afternoon was the highest, or I'm sorry, 2 to 4 in the afternoon was the highest, followed by noon to 2, and then down from there. So the highest percentages are from noon until 10 at night, or when it seems like we're getting the most calls. And that one again has at 9:12, so it was the 6 to 8 p.m. where you had to move 1 from 96 to 95. And then runs by location type. You can see just where we're going as we're out there. And the place of recreation or sport shows 20, does that show 23? Or 26, I can't read it now. It should be down 1 because that was the extra one that got in, so to make it 911. But healthcare facilities is the highest. That's all due to all of our transfers. Homes and residences are the next highest. Streets and highways from the crashes. And it just kind of goes down from there. You can see residential institutes, 61 times we were at our assisted living facilities in town throughout the year. So that is my report. I want to thank again the Sauk Center EMTs for their dedication to the community, and also the city council and city staff for all the support that you do give to our service, because we do appreciate everything you do for us and the city. Any questions for me?
Questions so far?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Can we go through the billing?
Oh, okay. Yeah. And this, the billing report unaudited is prepared by Tim DeShane, so bear with me. Billed calls, it shows from 2014 through 19. So in 2019, we had 707 total billed calls. And that's a 1.8 increase from 2018. And 695 were billed out to their insurance companies, and then 12 of them total were those contracts I talked about with the hospital, where they might have us come back and take the patient back to their home or residence, or ask us to transport to a different facility for a test and then bring them back, and then those are billed to the hospital. And then he's got the total amount that was billed, which is $843,552.50, which is a 4.7 increase from 2018. And then the amount collected from 14 to 19. And I think he's got that broken down on the next page, yeah. But you can see collected was $474,528.53, which is a 4.2 increase from 2018. And that broken down is the total collected from expertise billing was over $457,000. Collected for revenue recapture was almost $14,500. And collections is $60. And other collections, he's got $3,000, which is hospital and payments made after the file was returned from our billing company. Sometimes we'll get a payment in from someone late. And then the adjusted is $267,386.50, which is an action item for later. And return files, $68,666.80, and he's got over $45,000 entered into revenue recapture, over $1,300 sent to collections, and then other files that had to be written off, just under $5,000. We have 278 active files at Expert T billing now for $225,841.64. So the request of the city council, that's in the action items, all correct? I'm not asking for that right now, correct? That's in the action items, okay. Yeah. But that's the breakdown of what he's asking for then for action items.
Any questions? Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Gabby.
6D, CVB Annual Report, or Visit Sauk Center Report.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Visit Sauk Center had a very good year. We've definitely seen an increase in events just in the past year, and our marketing plan has gained over 2,600 followers on Facebook alone. We continue to promote Sauk Center through print ads, distribution of visitors guides, social media events, through our website, and also personal appearances with different activities. In 2019, Bike Across Minnesota spent one night in Sinclair Lewis Park as they traveled the bike trails and roadways. We had a lot of good feedback from the bikers who said they certainly would come back and have extended stays here. They were very impressed with the park and with the campgrounds, just in what Sauk Center had to offer. So that was a very nice experience. There were 350 people that stayed overnight in our hotels or in the park itself. We hired Michaela Ray, who rebuilt our website and manages our social media platform. We've seen a dramatic increase in followers from the website to social media. She also hired Matt Mead, and she did not realize he was from Sauk Center when she hired him. So it's really nice. He does all the drone work and the photography for our website and for the social media. If you've seen the video of the snow, the bowling on Sauk Lake, he came up and did that type of filming too. So it's been a real nice time working with both of them. They're going to be doing all 4 seasons, and they plan to work with our businesses also in some of their photography, which I think is really smart. They're going to be doing some things in the park, but they may go to Geierman's and have them use their clothing, and then they would tag them. And so working with the entire town to get people to know what we have offered here. So that was really good. We supported local organizations, the Sinclair Lewis Foundation, Artify, the Hockey Association, Palmer House, Carmel Apple Ride, through advertising and promotion. We had numerous day tours, mainly touring the Sinclair Lewis Home and the History Museum. Grants were written to Explore Minnesota Tourism for advertising and Black Oak Wind Getty Farms for city beautification. A new meeting space brochure was printed, updating our meeting spaces and capacities. We started a new art crawl in September, and I want to thank the council and the city for helping with street closures on that day. We didn't have as many as we expected or wanted, but we had good feedback from people that were there and people who stopped in. We will be doing that again this fall and hopefully garner more people, especially since the art lab is up and running. We worked with the Chamber on Sinclair Lewis Days and other events. We distributed 3,200 guides. Visitors' guides were sent to 65 information centers. 2,000 went to Mall of America, 550 in bulk mailings. I attended the Explore Minnesota Tourism annual meeting in February, and their focus was on approaches to social media and branding. The regional Heartland meeting set for October was canceled. Google Analytics for 2019, we developed a new website, and so our data, it opened in November. So we have a small accumulation of 3 months of data that we've gotten from this site. So far, we've had over 1,000 visits to the website. It's easy to navigate with great visuals and content, and I expect our numbers to rapidly increase as advertising continues. We have 2,595 followers on Facebook, and we've reached 3,764 with Instagram. We'll have a cumulative data next year when we give a report and a comparison of what we did last year. The Explore Minnesota website, we had close to 2,000 visits to Sauk Center from the Explore Minnesota website, which is a good number. Our income, 2018, our income was $57,627, and 2019 was $56,964. This has been comparable for almost 4 years. We're right kind of in that range. And I don't see really any big increases unless we have more facilities with more rooms. One of the questions the board has is, will the vacation rentals eventually be added to the lodging industry tax? That was what they're wondering. In 2020, we did have the Snowdown Festival on January 4th in 2020, but all of that planning went into 2019 since it was supposed to be held on December 28th, but the ice wasn't good enough. There was some problems with that. The company that was the sponsor for this event, which was hired before they ever asked Sauk Center or the chamber to come on, didn't follow up with what they said they would do. And it was one of the reasons that Visit Sauk Center became involved, because they were going to live stream the races, which would have gone nationally and internationally, which didn't get done. And there wasn't really a good reason that we got back for it. So the bills that I said that the Visit Sauk Center would pay, I sent it to them, and they paid them. They want to do it. Mike Mager, who actually did the races and had a great response to the races. Again, the racers love the venue. They love the campgrounds. And again, thanks to the city and the park board for helping with that and plowing. The fire department who came down and stayed that day. It really is nice to see our community come together and make these things happen. So we're working now we're going to be doing it later in the year. It'll be the 23rd of January in 2021. And we again will be working to make some changes in that venue so we have better attendance for that. But we had racers from as far away as Michigan, Canada, Colorado. So it's a good venue that we want to build on. I'll be working with the golf courses this year to increase visibility in Canada, and we'll continue to market to the bus tour companies that come to Sauk Center and try that they will be here for a destination for overnights and day trips. Visit Sauk Center again will be supporting the art crawl in 2020. And thank you. That's the end of my report. Any questions?
Questions? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Planning Commission report. Sarah?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. In your packet, you have a copy of our agenda from the February 11th meeting. We did not have any public hearings or action items. You have copies of the November, December, and January monthly building reports. And then added to your desk this evening was a 2019 building permit value, and that's the year-end totals. So for 2019, we did $4.3 million. 2018, for comparison, we did $8.1 million. And then also added was the historical housing units, which is the population of the city and how many new homes are built, and then we have to subtract out any dwellings that were demoed and removed. So that gives us a total of 2,046 living units. And the population, we don't receive that number till July 2020, but 2018, our population was 4,554. So it's usually about half for our housing. And the last page of what was added onto your desk is the land use request log. And so those are variances or code amendments or conditional use permits. And so there's 15 of those in 2019. So are there any questions about those reports or numbers?
Questions? Comments?
How's the census going to affect Sauk Center census taking?
I believe there are, when they do the census, like for the 2020 census that is coming up,
Yeah.
depending on our population, I believe there is like, whether it's federal dollars, you know,
I think
For
there's help for road construction if you go over 5,000, correct?
yeah,
So I'm just kind of wondering,
yeah, we're slowly getting there.
yeah. Okay.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Sarah.
Thanks, sir.
Public Works Report. Ben?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. What we've been up to in January, we were at the outdoor rink. We had one Sunday in January when it needed to be closed due to warm weather and water pooling on the ice. Otherwise, it has been open and available for use. One item to note, the boards are starting to show their age and the wood is rotting in a lot of places on them, so we're going to start looking into options for replacing those, and we'll start thinking about that for the future. The arena, last week we had one large panel of glass that's located over the scorer's table broke during a varsity game. This has been replaced, and after February 28th, there's no more hockey events planned at the arena, and the following week, ice will begin to be removed. Sidewalks, Public Works staff widened all the sidewalks in town and swept them off after the blower went through. We had a lot of ice build up, and with that heavy wet snow and that rain, it was really compacted on the sides and people were struggling to get it cleaned off, so we did go through and help them out and widen it out. It still is an area of issue with residents not cleaning their sidewalks properly, but we did a lot of good, and with that melting in the sun, it made a big improvement on everything, but as we move forward, it's something we need to look into. Ash tree removal, we continue to work on this. We have completed the area from Ash Street east for all boulevard ash trees, and we're gonna keep working from Ash Street towards Main Street, so that's kind of our area of focus, which is continuing from where we found the initial emerald ash borer last year. There's been a few snowfalls over the last month, so the department's been keeping snow removed in parking lots and roadway sanded as necessary. The industrial park storm pond, we're gonna be cleaning one outlet that has a large amount of sediment buildup. Hoping to do that sometime in the next month. But right now, the sediment is actually higher than the outlet, so the water has to rise up and over the top of that to get into the pond, so we'll get that taken care of. And then we're also, in the planning process, looking at options and plans for cleaning out the rest of the pond. So that'll be something that we're looking at putting into place in the future. We're waiting for quotes to be returned on the beach at St. Clair Lewis Park. There's several contractors that have those plans. And then we're also looking at any areas that could benefit from safety improvements around the shop or with our equipment, and implementing that appropriately just to avoid any injuries to any personnel. Any questions I can answer for you?
Questions? Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Bob.
Action items. Approve ambulance department billing adjustments for 2019.
Just a quick note before I go to that, in response to Keith's question on the 5,000 population. Good news is they're actually kind of introducing some legislation to make some of those dollars available to cities under 5,000.
Good.
To kind of make a permanent fund. We don't know if that's going to pass yet, but when I have more information on it, we'll be campaigning for that, so. So anyway, back to the ambulance department adjustments. This is what Kathy had alluded to earlier. The ambulance department, we are required to do an annual adjustment to billing, and what mostly this is like Medicare doesn't pay out at the billed rate. They have a cap, And so every year, as a cost of doing business, we have to reduce our billings by that. And there's also some insurance negotiated agreement amounts. So the total amount for 2019 that we're required to reduce off our billing is $267,386.50. So our request of the city council is to approve that ambulance billing adjustment.
Questions, comments?
This is an amount that's been through collections and is just
Yeah,
not-
this is like a Medicare required adjustment. This
Okay.
isn't like a non-collected, this is, we can't bill this.
Oh,
We
okay,
have to take it off.
okay.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion to approve the ambulance billing adjustment?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Diane, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Joe. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Approve step for EMT.
Jesse Hoppy has been with the Sauk Center Ambulance Service since June of 1997. Ambulance Director Struford is recommending she be advanced to Step 4, effective February 1st, 2020. So the request of you is to approve the advancement of Jesse Hoppy to Step 4. I also included Kathy's request in the packet.
Do I have a motion to approve the advancement of Jesse Hoppy?
I'll make that motion.
We have a
I'll
motion by
second.
Keith, second by Heidi. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7C, approve resolution 2020-17, plans and specs for the 2020 street project.
This will be your final action to move forward with going out for bids, but first we'll have a presentation by the city engineer on the final presentation, and then we'll be asking you to pass that resolution.
Good evening, council, mayor. Get the screen on here. So Keith and I are here tonight to just kind of run through the major layout of the utilities and street and kind of to show you some of the plan sheets. We'll kind of walk you through some of the major items.
Just interrupt you with any questions as we go.
Yep. As we go, you can answer or ask them, and or wait till the end too. So we'll jump right in to the plans. We have Elm Street South, just kind of a printout. So for that portion of the street, you can see the new intersection detail. You can see the alley, the new alley apron, and the new apron for the Ding Dong parking lot. So the curb's going to extend to Grove Lake. We kind of ran through those two options the last time, and so this was the option 2, which was chosen to go with. So one benefit to extending the curb, there'll be some added street parking for that compared to what was there. There was a lot less curb, more just parking lot, as I'm sure everyone's aware of. So other improvements here for utilities are the water main, sanitary sewer, and services to all the residents. Here we kind of zoom into the entrance or the intersection of Elm South and Grove Lake. One little item that's changed in some discussion with city staff. So the curb on the south side of the Wabagon Trail, it kind of angles into the boulevard right now, and there's some pavement, so basically the travel corridor is not very well defined. So if we extend or do some curb revision there, it'll just better define the travel corridor and provide a little safer crossing for the pedestrians on the Wabagon Trail. So we're proposing on doing those improvements. So Elm Street South, this is between 5th and 4th Street. The same utility improvements, water main, sanitary sewer, and services. You can see those extending to the right-of-way. We are not doing the storm sewer replacement. That was removed. So when we look back at some previous record plans, the existing storm sewer pipe in there has been abandoned. So we're just planning on removing that, and won't be replacing it. So both sections of this street will drain, the stormwater will drain on the curb to the 5th Street and 4th Street existing storm sewer. So here, I just want to walk through some of the cross-section of the road in terms of the cross slope. So if we look at a mid-block cross-section, you can see it's in the north portion between 4th and 5th. Based on the existing conditions of the curb elevations, the east curb is about a foot lower than the west curb. So when we started trying to fit in the road design, we obviously the desired as a 2.5% crown for cross slope, but our cuts on our west side just got too extreme, so we were kind of led to go down with a cross slope. We just wanted you to be aware of that. So that's only between 5th and 4th, so the north portion. The south portion will have that the crown. So jumping to the north portion of the project, Elm Street South, the improvements there are proposed are sanitary, water main, and services out to the right-of-way. The dark line you can see is going to be the new edge of the easement on the exterior, so we'll have a minimum of 60 foot there. So we'll be working on getting those easements here and up to construction. So that's something we'll be working with the city staff and meeting with residents for that. There was a portion of the sanitary sewer, I just comment on, north of manhole 21 in the middle. That was installed in '89 and it's in good condition, PVC pipe, so we're planning on remaining that, so it'll save the PUC a little bit of money there. It has new Ys in it, but we'll just add, or we'll be replacing the services, so those were not done back then, but we'll get those done with this project. For Lake Street North, a new sanitary and water utilities as well as services. So just talking about the kind of the street design here. So the north curb line will stay in the same location as it is today. The south curb line is going to move slightly out as the road was widened to that 32 foot. The sidewalk, back of the sidewalk, is going to stay the same. So we didn't want to put that at our 1 foot off of the right of way, which is our standard. Just the front yards are relatively short, so we don't want to impede on any more property there. So we kind of kept that. So basically, the boulevard just got shrunk to approximately 2 feet, 2 to 3 feet is what it'll vary to. So just wanted to comment on that. Here we'll look at a cross section from the mid block of Lake, and we kind of have the same situation here as on Elm South. The south curb is substantially lower than the north curb, so we were forced to go with a cross slope there just to fit everything in, and that goes for Lake and Elm North, so both streets will have that cross slope. Just to zoom in on some storm sewer improvements in the low area. This is kind of the layout we're proposing. A new storm outlet to the lake with ST11, and kind of the middle is the new storm scepter device that will remove those total suspended solids and some phosphorus attached to those. So, and then we also have some drain tile proposed as well, just to collect any sub drainage that does make it to a low spot, just to help out with some roadbed material. And talking with city staff, with the current issue from the car wash and drainage down their driveway, so we'll kind of walk you through our proposed improvements to handle some of that, to prevent the water from going across the road. So the square, kind of the rectangle you see on the left is what we call a trench grate, trench drain. What it'll do is it'll collect water from the driveway and get it into a storm sewer system or pipe that will install off the back, a few feet off the back of the existing curb without removing the curb, and drain it to the existing storm sewer on the intersection of Main. And I kind of have a picture that shows, so that's kind of what it'll look like. It'll go 16 feet wide from edge of driveway to edge of driveway. Should gather most of that runoff there that's on the driveway. So hopefully that's quite an improvement from what is happening today. Looking forward for project schedule, works that we kind of picked a big bid opening date of March 26th. So that's what that looks like, and still the estimated project costs are about at 1.2 million, so.
Come back before you for considering the bids on April Fool's Day, actually.
Yeah, at council meeting, that's when that would work out, so. One other item, we did get the geotechnical report back last week, and I sent that to city staff today, but just kind of want to give you a summary of the conclusion from that. So it was fairly spot on for what we were looking at for the sub-drainage sections in 10th Street and the parking lot. They recommended a fabric sub-drainage section of 12 inches and drain tile. Basically, their spacing, I think, was 40, and we had 50 feet on there for the drain tile in the parking lot. So it's pretty much what we proposed in the preliminary design. So, and then for the other two portions, Elm South and Elm North, there really were no surprises there. So things look good, sandy soils, typical Sauk Center soils, so good for construction. So after that, I'll take any questions.
Questions?
The water runoff from the car wash area there, does most of that come from the paved part? There isn't like a lot that comes from the rest of the hillside there, is there?
So most of that drainage comes from basically between the building and the south edge of that parking lot.
Yeah, where
So-
you can drive in
Yeah,
back on
yep, that area is pretty much where that's coming from.
Okay.
It's supposed to drain to their pond, but I don't think it's quite making it there.
Sure.
So,
Go ahead.
well, to come off that question, is any part of that cost to install that extra added drainage system going to be put towards the owners of that business?
So that, at this time, no, I believe, so.
That is something, because we just discussed this at staff level, and it's just been presented to you. It is an issue that's up there. The question of how we're going to pay for it needs to be discussed. It's something that, you know, we can discuss with that landowner and see if there's ways to at least perhaps some of those dollars onto that landowner, but those are things that we'll have to deal with here shortly, perhaps at staff level. If you want to give us some guidance as to what your thoughts would be, that would probably be great, but so that we could start discussing what might be.
Well, one of my questions was going to be, are we talking, is it rainwater or is it's not water from the car wash?
It's actually a little bit of both. You know, the
is?
issue
Okay.
in the summer isn't such a big deal with the car wash, but unfortunately in the colder weather,
Right.
we end up with that water that's coming down, and ends up coming and then getting into the street, and then it becomes an icy mess there. Even though it's not that much of a volume, if you will, but because that continual freezing
builds
becomes
up,
an
I'm
issue.
sure.
So it is a safety hazard, you know, in the wintertime for that kind of a situation. There's also, you've probably seen, there are some erosion issues as well, and that will be kind of dealt locally as well with that owner to deal with those erosion issues, so that all that dirt isn't getting into our streets and down into our storm sewer as well.
Is there a storm sewer that runs from the end of that driveway out to Main Street? Or we gotta dig that in?
Right.
So that'll be extra cost besides
That's a
just that
cost,
catch
yeah.
basin.
And those are smaller pipes, so it's not a huge amount of dollars, but there is, you know, we will split it out so we know how much that particular segment is. And then that's a dollar amount that we can start having discussions with.
The other concern I got is, is that grate gonna ice over, or how deep is this? So, because if you're only gonna have like a 4-inch pipe running out to a storm sewer, is it gonna be deep enough to not freeze up if any water makes it?
Sure.
Basically, otherwise in the winter time, we're just
Yeah,
making
no.
everybody feel good and we're not fixing the problem.
No, I agree. So right now, we have the pipe size at a 12-inch PVC. It's sloped at 1%, so it's going to be shallow, but most storm sewer is, but it should handle, you know, the water generally fast. It should drain out at 1%. So the trench sizing is going to be, we're looking at a couple different options. Either they make them in 12 inches wide, 14 inches wide, and 2 feet wide. 2 feet wide, maybe slightly, a little excessive. We're leaning towards maybe the 14-inch wide one, and then the trench underneath will be about a foot deep. So you're looking at about a foot by foot trough, if you will, that the water will drain out. And that's matches the size of our pipe, so that's kind of how we came up with that.
And also, remember, the end of the street is really going to be taken care of when we get to the Main Street project. So some of this is probably going to end up getting redone. All of that storm sewer in the corner is going to get redone. So this is kind of a bit of a temporary solution to get through for a few more years. And then we can, if we have issues, if we need to go deeper, those kinds of things, it'll be much easier to do at the time that we're tearing up the rest of that street and do it then. So that's why we're trying to do it with PVC, doing it as cheap as we can for that portion at this stage of the game.
And I understand that part. It's just that, you know, if you look at our normal storm sewer catch basins, every spring they're all froze over and we gotta steam them off, and we're gonna keep having to do that all winter just by putting a grate at the bottom of that driveway. You know, because every time we plow the road, until they clean that driveway off, basically the snow off our snow plows is going right on that grate.
Sure.
So that's what I'm concerned about. Are we just putting a Band-Aid on it and then up having more maintenance?
So right now we're, like Keith said, it's kind of an interim, fix, if you will. We're constrained on the Main Street storm sewer based on depth, so we set the pipe on the downstream end at as low as we can get it, and so probably the full improvement won't, like Keith said, won't be able to happen until then. So I guess that's
Yeah, but you know, the pipe drainage,
Yeah.
what happens. It's just that grate at the bottom, I can just seeing it fill up with ice, and then we have to keep steaming it out because it's not doing any good during the winter. We end up with the same problem.
Right, I mean, it can happen. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's not going to have any issues. I do think from occasionally, it probably would need some maintenance of having it cleaned out. It really kind of depends on that weather situation, the freeze-thaw cycles. But it could happen. You know, we could look at other options to see if we can make it deeper. But the problem is it's open all the way across. So even though you might have it down, say, 3 feet deep, you still have so much cold that can go into it because it's such a large opening that it becomes really difficult to keep that kind of situation from getting some amount of ice built up in there. And there really isn't, because of the way that the driveway, there isn't really a great solution other than to try to, because the driveway's so steep, as you know, to try to collect that water into that grade all the way across before it gets out into the roadway.
One of the things is if we move the grate part way up the driveway, catch it 3 feet before it gets to the curb.
I mean, that's a possibility too. We could go, it is a little bit further back, but we
Yeah.
could, there is a little room, if you show that
Well-
it could go a little further back.
right now we have it actually exactly 3 feet from behind the back of the curb.
Okay.
So, yep, put it at the back of that 5-foot apron basically is where we set it, so. And we can go a little further, but, you know, you're just getting higher and higher and kind of fit pretty good right there, so.
Okay.
We could look at pushing it back to the right way a little bit further.
Yeah.
What do we have a cost estimate? Did I miss that, or?
On this portion,
Right.
I didn't put anything together for that, but this grade's going to be fairly expensive. To give you a rough idea, you know, you're probably looking at 10,000.
Okay.
For
Plus
construction costs.
digging in the pipe is gonna be the same, or you're?
That was probably the
total?
whole, probably the whole works.
Okay, all right. So that'll be coming when we need to take action on that part, or?
That'll be part of the bid, so you would see that.
Okay.
And we can start working with the landowner as it relates to,
Yeah.
you know, some sort of cost agreement.
I guess if we can move forward with keeping it in the project, and if we decide not to go that route, we can easily have the
Take it out.
contractor not,
Okay.
just take it out, so.
It's small enough that we can delete it without any ramifications to the rest of the project.
Correct.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions
Well,
or
I
concerns?
think it's probably a good idea, but, gosh, you know, the city did not create the problem.
Yeah.
You know, that's the, I hate to be nasty that way, but
We can bait it, but we can take it out after we get actual costs.
that's correct.
If we go out for bids,
Right.
we can do that.
I guess, yeah, I'd like to see what the bid price is.
And we'll have a chance to talk to the landowner so that we can see
Yeah.
if there is some discussions on.
I mean,
payment for that.
I can understand the neighbors wanting something done because boy, it really flattens out once it's below down there and.
Right.
The thing is too, though, where we're talking about the drainage concerns towards Main Street, this is beyond what they're going to be touching when they do Main Street. So this is what we can do on our portion for now, and then 4 years from now, they can kind of do the rest of it.
For the
Is how
70.
I'm
Correct,
seeing it.
correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
So-
This is just a temporary fix until,
Well, I
They
mean,
do-
temporary, but like to finish it out in 2024, to kind of fully take care of the concern.
Yeah.
If
And
that
also, excuse me, with Main Street, we also will probably be looking, not every street, but certain streets, we'll be looking up to a full block off of Main Street for potential
Okay.
restoration. So this is certainly within that realm. I'm not saying, you know, that's a ways off yet, so we're
Yeah.
just thinking about it, but that's within the realm of the potential scope is maybe up to a block off of Main Street.
You know, I guess looking at kind of the big picture, when we do the 2024 project and we do some larger storm improvements here, and, you know, it might tie into some sort of combination with working with the property owner on trying to collect the water up on top of the hill, you know, and then connecting that pipe to our system, which would be correctly sized. So that's something probably would be a good end
Yeah.
goal for the big picture, so.
okay. Any other comments or questions? No. Okay, thanks, guys.
Yep. Thank you.
We have resolution 2020-17 approving the plans and authorizing bids for the 2020 street project. Do I have a motion for that?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Diane, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Heidi. Any other comments or questions? Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries, 5 in favor, none against. 7D, approve resolution 2020-18 approving advertisement for bids, tar trailer.
Okay, this is for the hot mix trailer bid request, and this has been in front of the council before, but this is something that you did budget for 2020. It included funding for the potential purchase of a hot mix trailer. I did put a picture of one, what a similar one would look like, so you know what we're talking about. And the trailer would be used for transporting hot mix for pothole repair. It can also be used in the winter to warm up cold patch. It can be used when hot mix plants aren't open. It has a warming system, so tar can be held over from one day to the next. And also, there's several safety features built into the system that our current trailer does not have. So Public Works Supervisor Ben Klink is requesting the city authorize him to solicit quotes for the potential purchase and bring those to a future meeting for consideration. And he can also answer more questions you might have about the particular purchase that I don't know. So, but we have Resolution 2020-18 authorizes the solicitation of quotes for a hot mix trailer.
Questions, comments? Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2020-18 authorizing the solicitation of quotes?
So moved.
Motion by Keith, do I have a second? Second. Second by Joe. Call a question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries, 5 in favor, none against. 7E, approve resolution 2020-19 declaring property excess and advertising for sale.
Two more vehicles have been forfeited to the police department by Stearns County Attorney's Office. Chief Fredericks is requesting they be considered excess property and advertised for sale. There's a 2001 Chevrolet Tahoe and a 2006 Chevy Malibu. So that is resolution 2020-19 declaring property excess and advertising for sale.
Seems like about once a month we get some, so.
These are really cherry, you want to get in on this.
Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2020-19?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Joe.
I'll second.
Second by Diane. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7F, approve live barn venue agreement, Arena Live Broadcasting.
So Live Barn is a company that broadcasts games via the internet for the public to watch off-site via a subscription. The Live Barn is requesting a contract with the city to broadcast youth hockey events at the arena. This would give parents, grandparents, et cetera, the opportunity to watch games remotely. Live Barn would install and be the owner of the equipment. City staff would be able to control which games get broadcast. The agreement does not include varsity hockey due to Minnesota State high school rules, but this would be for youth hockey games that they would broadcast for grandparents or whatever to watch. The city of Alexandria, or the Alexandria Arena, has been using them for about 10 years, and they're very happy with them. And so I did include the agreement for your review. And so our request is to approve the agreement with Live Barn for broadcasting from the Civic Arena.
Questions? Concerns? Do I have a motion to approve the agreement with Live Barn for the broadcasting from Civic Arena?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Heidi, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Diane. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7G, Public Works Personnel.
This was, the Personnel Committee met on February 14th with myself and Ben Klink to consider the needs of the Public Works Department due to the retirement of Dave Belke. The committee is recommending the city proceed with advertising for a public work maintenance person, as well as advertise to fill the vacant summer seasonal. The public works maintenance position would be a shift employee with the ability to shift evenings and weekends for work at the arena. The employee must have a CDL license or the ability to obtain within 6 months. And we are looking at having an aptitude test that would be administered at the time of the interview. And this is a kind of the test just to kind of determine how a person can think through problem solving. So I do have a timeline there. If you approve the advertisement tonight, we would begin advertising tomorrow through March 12th. We would accept applications through March 16th. A committee review would follow that next week, and then we would start setting up interviews, hoping to do backgrounding by April 1st, and then taking council action on the 15th with the idea of having employment to commence on May 1st. And so that's kind of the timeline that we're looking, that we think we can make. It just kind of depends on scheduling those interviews and getting the interviews scheduled in once we have candidates selected. The summer seasonal position will mainly work in the Parks Department for mowing and trimming, but will intermittently work in the Street Department when needed. Our summer seasonal from last year will not be returning, a college student that we have. Both positions have wages set in the union contract. The 2020 wage for the maintenance position at step 1 is $22.50 per hour plus benefits. The seasonal position is $11.90 per hour. So what we're looking today is to approve the advertisement for public works maintenance and summer seasonal employment. Did I catch
Questions?
everything? You guys were there?
Yeah.
Yep, sounded right. Questions, comments? Do I have a motion to approve advertisement for public works maintenance and summer seasonal employment? Motion to approve. Motion by Joe, second.
I'll second.
Second by Diane. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Unfinished business, Safe Routes to School Planning Grant.
As you know, we've been a little bit quiet on the Safe Routes to School following our big meeting that we had at the school for that full day. The draft of the issues identified has been prepared and submitted to that committee, and then following their review, the Safe Routes to School draft plan will be compiled. Recommendations from the plan will be brought forward and will be adopted by the City Council. Where this is coming from now, after that committee met and they did all their observations, and we had surveys that went out, and you could do it online in various different ways, and there was surveys in the school, and then that was all put together and compiled. So this is kind of like the draft results that we've received, and once the committee is done reviewing those, then a plan will come forward for your adoption. And then once we have that draft plan in place, then we're positioned to submit for infrastructure grant to actually implement them. There's also a grant halfway between that can help pay for engineering. So we'll see, once we get this draft plan, which direction we're going to go, if we want to do the next step and just get the engineering done and then wait and then do the next step and do infrastructure, or if we can jump straight to infrastructure. It kind of depends on how the grant appropriations come out. So right now, just kind of watch If you have any comments on the plan, make sure to let me know or to get back with Jimmy Shoemaker on those, and then you'll be seeing the plan, and there'll be another meeting coming up. And there really is no action on that, it's just information.
Okay, questions on that? Okay, going to new business, sidewalk snow removal.
Ben kind of alluded to this a little bit. They've been actively working to keep the sidewalks clear. In addition, they're working on widening and ice removal, and they've also removed snow on sidewalks where snow was not removed within the allotted time frame after a snow event or wind or whatever might deposit the snow. The city ordinance states the adjoining property owner shall remove snow, dirt, or debris within 24 hours. The city can then remove the snow and bill the owner. In actuality, we don't inspect and remove till about 72 hours because we have to plow and haul our own snow before we can get to that. However, there continues to be residents who not have the removal completed, which results in removal and a bill to the owner. Issuance of the bill results in one of the following: that they realize they didn't get to it and they just pay the bill. They realize they didn't get to it, but they won't pay the bill. They emphatically state it was already done and that we didn't do it. That they deny responsibility for the sidewalk at all, or they request that we delete the bill. So these are the 5 things that happen. We currently have 4 individuals that fall in those categories. They insist it was already done, or they insist they cannot be held liable. They request the bill be removed. We kind of goes in cycles. We kind of get beat up on the staff level. And so because these keep coming up periodically, we're requesting that the policy committee review the code and either recommend or change or uphold the existing code. The staff is doing what our code says, and we bill and we remove and everything, but we just want it looked at one more time so we can go back to these people because they are requesting the bill be removed, but I don't think we should remove them until we do a review, if that makes sense. So I guess I'm requesting that sidewalk snow removal go back to the policy committee, and the policy committee can make a recommendation on whether they should be removed.
Comments?
We have pictures for these 3 individuals?
It is our policy to take pictures. Not all the time does a picture come out really well. I mean, we're out there and we're blowing snow and we're in wind, and there are times when I don't know if a mitten gets over the lens or whatever. So a general rule is we do have pictures. On these 4, I think one of them we don't have a picture. But I tend to believe the staff when they say they did it.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
So.
General consensus, it goes to policy committee?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll then go to consent agenda. I have the corrected numbers in front of me. We did remove. So we have the schedule of claims, unpaid claims of $190,658.34. Paid claims of $52 for a total of $190,710.34. List of January checks for a total of $1,325,180.98. We have Youth Hockey Association submitted an application and permit for a 1-day temporary on-sale liquor license for beer and wine tasting at the Sauk Center Civic Arena on March 28, 2020. The fee and the certificate of insurance is being provided. We also have resolution number 2020, resolution approving on off-site gambling permit for the community connection of Sauk Center. The permit would allow for a raffle to be held on June 12th, 2020 at the Stearns County Fairgrounds. Is there any questions or concerns about the consent agenda? Do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented?
So moved.
A motion by Heidi, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Diane. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, 5 in favor, none against. Informational items.
There's a couple informational items of upcoming. The Board of Appeal and Equalization, April 13th at 2020, at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I do need a quorum of the City Council present for that. The Joint Airport Zoning Board public hearing will be held on March 19th here at City Hall. There's a day at the Capitol opportunity, March 18th and 19th. That is where elected officials are invited to the Capitol, and the legislators will all be there. We have our city audit with Clifton Larson Allen, March 9th to 13th. That's the full week. And then the presidential nominating party is March 3rd, 2020, which is here. If you're a resident of Sauk Center, you can also vote here beginning February 25th, from there until March 3rd. So from some of the upcoming things going on, we're going to be quite busy for the month of March.
Questions about the informational items? Hearing none, that brings us to the end of our agenda. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Joe, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Heidi. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Meeting adjourned.